Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Let's move ahead and look at the next section over here, which is Azure Functions. Even if you see, till now we may not be handling the complete part of infrastructure right, but we have not totally outsourced it as well. We have not totally given it to Azure environment. Here, what we are still doing is we are looking at App Service Plan, and using App Service Plan, we are creating the underlying infrastructure. If you look at Azure Functions as part of Azure Functions, what Microsoft is providing is a complete focus on APIs and integration with number of other sources. Focusing on number of other sources. If you have things like notification, hub, event, Cosmos DB in any of these sources, if there are any change, these will be behaving as event sources. As there is any event being fired or there is a scheduled event which is being triggered, based on that, what actions you would want to perform. Right? You might want to put a message into a queue or add a value into a queue or create a new topic that you would want. Right? That event-driven model is one of the key aspects of your Azure Functions. Right? If you look at the architecting principles over here, you have your messaging models, you have your event-driven models, right? This is what we are referring to over here is event-driven model. Even if you look at your web applications or web requests, there also we are looking at HTTP request. Based on HTTP request, which is an event, we showcase a particular page or we respond back by giving up web content there. Here we are talking about many more such events, not just the web request event. Any change in state of any other service or any other content. Based on that, I want to execute a piece of code, right? And the charging model which is expected over here is based on how many number of times this invocation has happened. Based on that, we'll have our pricing model over here. Like Chidna was mentioning in the morning section where we discussed that I have a new course being launched. Right. Old courses. I have there are a lot of people who have enrolled for it. Subesh and his university has enrolled for that course. And I have more than 5,000 users there. For that, I have a stable environment. No problem. I can go ahead, provision an app service plan, and I'm sure these will be the number of users on a daily basis will be connecting and everything is clear on that part. There's a new course which is getting launched, which is for, say, artificial intelligence or IT solutions. Aravia kind of things, right? Keeping that kind of aspect in mind. How are we going to provision these resources or how are we going to move ahead and work with these members? Right now, that becomes a big area of concern. Right. How do I cater to that? I don't know how many people will be actually interested. Right. Now, if I provision another app service plan for it, which means even if there are 0 people who are interested, my course is being launched. Right. It is existing there. And I am simply wasting money. How do I check it? Whether the people are interested or not, and based on that, create a dedicated set of resources. In those cases, what people are doing is they are launching mobile apps. Through mobile app, they check for number of subscriptions. How many people are interested? How many subscriptions? How many app downloads? Right. Based on these parameters, it becomes easier for organizations or even which are even set organization or not just startups. Even set organizations, when they are launching newer services, it will be easier for them to figure out whether people are interested or not. And for their information, 1 million requests are free. Which means 1 million requests is a good amount of hits to understand whether the service is acceptable. Not acceptable is a good amount of number to understand how many. How many requests? What is the frequency? Are people coming only on weekends, weekdays? Whatever set of parameters you would want to take for making a decision. Right? It is sufficient enough to help you work with that. Now, if you have a consistent set of users, you can go ahead and publish it into a web app, right? Which will be a next step. Or you can go ahead and publish it onto a virtual machine. That's your choice. But to help you make that decision, Azure Functions can provide you that mechanism. What we are creating is a function app. Inside this function app, there can be number of functions. Right? Whether you want to host code over here or you want to host your Docker container, it's up to us. What you want to decide. Right now, let's go for an NET. But if you realize there are other options as well, like Node.js, Python, Java. You can also go and write PowerShell code over here. In terms of hosting, we have a plan type as consumption. Right. Consumption is the actual serverless. If you look at our app service plan, what you are saying is, I want to run this function inside a pre-existing app service plan. Asile 5, now one of the good examples which you never showing in terms of pizza, which I like about it. Many a times, if you're looking at a customer, right, and customer says we are really great in terms of infrastructure service, right, we would not want to go for platform as a service. Some of my conversations which I asked him is, which is really good. You'll have a great team and that's really helps you all to sustain even in these hard times. But what is your business vision? As part of your business vision, are you trying to become the next Microsoft Azure? Are you trying to become the next Rackspace where you are going to own 400, 500 machines or 400, 500 rack servers and manage data? If that is your vision, then you are a right path. But if you are focusing on supporting number of students in different set of universities, providing them courses, then this is not the right path that you are going on to. To know you can take a time to learn more about that question. Yes, we had the same discussion before too, like now, SaaS versus right there. See, the customer says, yes, I want to build a large infrastructure and I want my team to. And I want to build a multi-tenant kind of service which I will be owning and others will be connecting to it. I will charge based on the services. Then go ahead and manage it yourself. No problem. But if you are focusing on a specific business, focus on that domain and use services which can help you quickly provision that. If business agility is your requirement, then focus on past solutions. We have got this done. Let's go to the function app. If I click on browse over here, it says there is nothing over here. And when you are looking at Azure Functions, these are meant for APIs. Go ahead, create your API over here by using functions. Specify whatever code you want over here. Where do you have to develop it? VS Code Visual Studio, develop in Portal. What kind of templates you want to use over here? P trigger event hub trigger. Guru, some of these things you will see are common in AZ224 and AZ303. But there you will see more details in terms of each of these options. Let's go ahead with HTTP trigger over here. Let's go ahead with HTTP trigger over here. Once you have got this HTTP trigger created, let's go to code and test. You see the complete dev test environment over here. You can write our code. We can verify our code. What is the HTTP method that you would want? Entire Postman tool that you will see in a miniature is available here. You will see the execution also. Depending upon what is the method type. So, it's like a no-code solution. No, I would not say no-code solution. The code is there. No, but minimize lot of things. I agree to that totally. Lot of things are minimized over here. Here if you see, As a developer, we will have to write code over here. Even if you write the code using Total or your Visual Studio or VS Code. We will have our code. We will have our code be written over there. And we will have to publish that code into this environment as a function app. But yes, you do require coding over here. There is no option for avoiding a code over here. If you are looking at no code solution, no code solution is the next one, which is Logic App. If you look at the Logic App over here, Logic App is a no code solution. Similar. What you have are similar to what you have for functions, where you are specifying the logic, where it gets triggered, using right or scheduled. Same thing happens with Logic App. But in terms of Logic App, you don't have to write code. Along with this, Logic App is also seen as an integration solution. I am not sure anybody has worked with BizTalk earlier or heard about BizTalk server. I heard about it. As far as BizTalk server is concerned, the major aspect is integration. Integration between number of resources, number of services that we have across organizations, formatting of documents, sending of details. Something similar can be done with Logic Apps. That's a core purpose over here. Once it comes to Logic Apps, you have a logical. Here you have, what do you say? Step-by-step actions available, where you can drag and drop these actions. Like I said earlier, you can do XML transformation. Right? Check for conditions over here. Instead of writing it through code, you will have people who will create this workflow. Is it like? I'm not sure. It is more like SB, Enterprise Service Bus. Enterprise Service Bus. It is like Enterprise Service Bus, correct? Or mules or something. Mules. Web software that you are talking about, where you have orchestration as a service and integrate with other members. Those things you can do over here with Logic App. Automation, orchestration, business processes. One way is you write code, and get your tasks done through that, or you write workflows over here. In terms of functions, if you look at architecturally, where will functions make sense? As far as functions are concerned, whatever code you are writing inside a function, it will not run beyond 5 minutes. Whatever tasks or code you are writing, that task has to complete within 5 minutes. If it does not, you will have to store that state somewhere and rerun that function, because that is a max time which is being allocated. Whereas Logic App is concerned, these tasks can run infinitely. They can run for a longer period of time. If you look at your scalable solutions over here, Like I mentioned earlier, once you have initiated this process, once you have initiated the logic app, here you will have a workflow execution. And step by step, whatever tasks that you have mentioned is being executed. Not at workflows. You have workflow 4.0, where you have sequential workflows and you have state machine workflow. As far as sequential workflows are concerned, here you have only implementation of sequential workflows. There is no implementation of state machine workflows. Right. There has been a specific area of focus which Microsoft has chosen within Logic Apps. Right. Here if you see, in terms of Logic App, I can have number of connectors and truth. And there are more than 3000 plus connectors which are available. And using these connectors, we can connect to number of data sources. Right. Pull data from there. Provision that within. Create association between those resources. Pull data from there. Submit data to there. Insert, update, delete. Whatever operations one would want to perform. Right? That is a key members or key features within your if need be. Save certain cases. I have a custom service. There is some custom environment which is there, custom application which is there within on-premises environment. What I can do is, I can create something called as gateway for that, on-premises gateway, using service bus. And I can connect to that by using Open API specification. What that will help me do is, even my on-premises service, which is running as RESTful service, I can invoke that easily. Perform actions on that. That is a significance of a custom connector here. Custom connector will be the one which will help you for authentication, authorization, data formatting, data conversion. All those things will be done by the custom connector. Things have become much more easier today. A lot of your APIs, like sentiment detection or AI services that we had, cognitive services, everything is now part of your Logic App. Anybody by any chance has worked with Microsoft Flow or Power Automate. Even there you have something called as AI Builder. And through that, it allows you to use some of these resources in terms of how do you work with artificial intelligence or cognitive services given by Microsoft. If you look at the steps over here, once you have a trigger being invoked, say a Twitter post being mentioned, it can check for text analytics. And if there is, based on the condition, it can insert a row in SQL Server or send message to Outlook, whatever. If else conditions that you want to do over here, we can provide that. Right. You can do number of such implementations over here, depending upon what kind of DTS that you are getting. This is how the entire environment will look like. That is a Logic App Designer. You can use this designer on your browser. You can also use this designer within your Visual Studio environment. Even that is possible. Any questions? You decide. How do you want to use this? Logic App Designer. Let me show you a quick demo over here. Let's go to now while you are creating this UI or you are doing the drag and drop over here of the actions. It also creates a JSON behind the scene. It also creates a JSON environment, JSON resources behind the scene. Even using your templates, where you can create this JSON file. It will allow you to create your logic app. If you look at the labs, there are two. If you look at the labs 4, there are 2 labs for logic apps. I try out those labs. Can you see this? There are lot of pre-existing templates that one would want to work with. How do you get a resource? How do you work with it? What are the options available? You can create your own. You can create your own blank logic app. You can use some of the requests like HTTP request received. What is the action I want to perform? A new file being created on OneDrive. A message being received in service bus queue. You decide what is the kind of actions that you want to perform. Any message being put. Any message being put inside storage account. I want to pick that message and work with it. Right. A simple member over here would be HTTP request response template. Let me go here. Specify the method here. Get method. Right. Here you will see HTTP get URL. As far as the response is concerned, can you see the values over here? I can mention the response content over here. Now, how do you run this app? The mechanism of running this app would be by copying the get. We will have to run this app by copying the get. You see, is a get URL over here. Let's copy the get URL. Can you see this? Welcome to Logic Apps. Whatever content that we have mentioned over here Once you have saved it, let's refresh this. Whatever changes we are doing over here in the body content, you will be able to see that values over there. It's a simple HTTP request response. Similarly, you have to decide whichever template is relevant for you. You can use that template over here or directly we can go ahead and add triggers over here. Perform set of logic. Perform set of operations here. The blob is being added or modified. You have to decide. Now you have to decide which storage account, which container you want to verify if the change has been made. Let me take up. Let me take up this logic app to trigger. By default, there are two containers here. Can I see? Can I see Subesh container? Number of blobs. How many? How often you want to check? Check every minute. Once a new member is being added in that container. What is the action you want to do? Action I want to do is I want to send an email. It's not looking for a Hotmail ID. It's looking at an organization ID. What sample organization I had created for one of my sessions. I have used that. Right? We can also go for attachments over here. Depending upon what are the files being uploaded over here. I'm going to send all the files as attachments over here. Getting it? This is how we can create a logic app, trigger, paste on a specific member, and then perform an action here. Now how do I run this? Let's go to our resource over here. Let me upload a JSON file. It's taking some time. Once it executes successfully, we'll be able to see that inside the runs history, you'll be able to see what are the instances which has been executed. Can you see this still running? It took 9 to 2 milliseconds and you'll be able to see this entire process. What was the inputs there? What are details inside that? Everything is available. What are the mail being sent? Everything is available here. You and finally do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.